We're here at St George's Hall, Liverpool, where I've just been on stage with a fighting, trim Alex Salmond, who's been making the case for Scottish independence. First Minister, you could be summed up your case for independence in terms of it'll be all right on the night, but what makes you so confident that after 300 plus years it will be, or would be, a velvet divorce?
Well, I think my case for independence is that independence for Scotland will bring about, or give us the ability, with hard work and determination over a period of time, to create a more prosperous and more just society in Scotland. I think that would encapsulate the case for independence. Why do I think relationships with our southern neighbours will be good? Because it will be in the enlightened self-interest of Scots and English politicians to ensure these good relationships. I mean, there's no benefit for anyone than quarrelling with your neighbours. Far better to cooperate in joint interests. Now, I know what's said in a campaign. What's said in the smoke of battle is quite different from the real politique once the votes are in and the democratic decision has been made. And that's why Clause 30, of course, of the Edinburgh Agreement.
But there are some serious issues to discuss, like the desirability and operation of a single currency, the fiscal arrangements. All these things have to be will be the subject of very hard bargaining. You've said that David Cameron would be finished by Christmas at the end of this year if he didn't actually bargain in a constructive way. Is that what you actually believe?
Oh yes, I mean, some people say, a lot of people, and particularly in the metropolitan media, they say, look, the Prime Minister, if he loses Scotland...
Metropolitan media, is that the Financial Times?
No, I'm sure the Financial Times is much more judicious than the rest of the metropolitan media. But some people in the London political scene say, oh, David Cameron will be like George III. If he loses Scotland, it's like losing America, he'll be finished. I don't believe that. But what will determine the Prime Minister's ability or not to survive is how he reacts to a democratic vote for independence. Now, if he stomps his feet and says, we'll extract a pound of flesh from these rebellious Scots and crush them, yeah, he'll be out by Christmas because he'll look like a total fool. He'll be somebody who's endorsed and embraced a democratic referendum and then won't accept the result effectively. So yeah, of course he'll be out. But I don't think he'll do that. I think rather he would say, well, look, I wanted the Scots to vote no, but they've made a decision. We still have the Queen as head of state. We're going to be friendly neighbours. We can cooperate in all sorts of things. And England, like Scotland, will now be able to choose its own government. He'll make the best of it, as politicians do, and on that basis he'll survive beyond Christmas. Whether he survives before the general election, of course, is up to the voters across these islands.
Now, First Minister, you've said that you want to have a currency union and that it's workable with the Bank of England, yet all three parties have said this is not possible. Do you not think that the great lesson of the Eurozone crisis is that you actually need a banking union and you need to have common deposits in the banks in order to make, and a fiscal and political union to make this work?
No, I think the lesson of the euro is that you have to have a currency union between countries with similar rates of productivity and an economic base. It's very difficult to hold a currency union when you've got a vast divergence of economic performance, 60% in terms of productivity between the Ruhr Valley and the southern tip of Greece. You can have a currency union like the successful Benelux currency union, which Belgium and Luxembourg had won for 80 years, which was highly successful.
It's only 450,000 people in Luxembourg.
Yeah, actually, well, the ratio of people in Belgium to Luxembourg is not, I think it's 20 to 1, as opposed to 10 to 1 between
it's tiny.
Scotland and England.
The Grand Duchy is tiny.
No, but it's surely in terms of, so is Belgium in comparison with England. That's not the point. The point is, can you run a currency union? And there's an example in Europe of a highly successful currency union which existed for 80 years, which incidentally there were substantial differences in both corporate and personal tax.
That's true, but you're a distinguished economist and you know that Britain, England and Wales, and Northern Ireland accounts for 90% of GDP versus Scotland barely 10%.
Yeah, but that was similar to the case between Belgium and Luxembourg. We've put forward in the Fiscal Commission Working Group, where even more distinguished economists than I, two Nobel laureates, James Mirrlees, Joe Stiglitz, are part of that Fiscal Commission Working Group, as well as other distinguished economists like Andrew Hughes Hallett. They've put forward the view of how you could run a currency union successfully between an independent Scotland and the rest of the United Kingdom.
You will, obviously, as an independent Scotland, have a fiscal deficit. A lot will depend on North Sea oil revenues in the future, and the Scottish Government's projections are significantly more optimistic than the Office of Budget Responsibility. Is that more happy talk from Edinburgh?
No, I think the OBR and these things are losing a lot of credibility. I'll tell you why. They produced something last week which countermanded the previous report only a year before, a 30-year forecast of oil revenues. The only problem is when you examine the detail, they're assuming 10 billion barrels of oil and gas equivalent to come from the waters around Scotland mainly. The trouble is, of course, the UK government last year said that between 16 and 24 billion barrels was recoverable. Sir Ian Wood's report, the Ian Wood's Commission, said that up to 24 billion barrels was recoverable. UK oil and gas say that up to 24 billion barrels is recoverable. So why do the OBR suddenly say that they're countermanding the UK government's intentions, Sir Ian Wood's report, the UK oil and gas's own assessment? I think the OBR are taking their pessimism to the nth degree.
So let's come to the anniversary of the Battle of Bannockburn in September, the vote. I mean, the fact is, First Minister, even if you don't win, I know you believe firmly you will win, there will be a yes vote, actually, you're going to come back a big winner either way, because you've got pretty well Devo Max, you've got the political parties falling over themselves to say it will be more devolution, more responsibility for taxation, etc. So you're a big winner either way, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I would beware of the Westminster geeks bearing gifts. I think the way for Scotland to react is to take matters in our own hands with a yes vote. People say all sorts of things before votes. I mean, I'm old enough, as are you, of course, to remember.
We're only 59, First
I know,
Minister.
but we're both old enough to remember Sir Alec Douglas-Home, highly respected.
I was there.
Yeah, highly respected former Prime Minister, saying, look, vote no, 1979, and we'll come along with a better offer. Margaret Thatcher, as opposition leader, gave exactly the same commitment, and what happened was 17 years of Tory government and nothing for Scotland. So I think that's the lesson of history, and the lesson of history should tell us that seize the day, seize the opportunity. If there's a lesson from Bannockburn, of course, it was that Robert de Brew decided to seize the day. Obviously, we live in different times. We don't have to fight for independence now. We have a democratic, consented opportunity given to few people around this planet. We have that democratic, consented opportunity. We should seize the day and seize the moment.
We'll look forward to that. And Robert de Brew, who of course had a certain office in Tottenham, London at that time.
There is one reflection I'd make. We've had the anniversary of the Battle of Bannockburn, highly successful it is, was too, and the new Bannockburn Visitor Centre is fantastic. One thing that's we don't often reflect on, perhaps it's worth just thinking about. Robert the Bruce, Norman family, William Wallace, Welsh family, it means William the Welshman. The two greatest folklore, historical heroes of Scotland both came from immigrant families who came to Scotland and fought for national determination. What's the lesson today? Well, the lesson today about the new Scotland we're creating, it doesn't matter the stuff where people come from, it's where we're going together as a country. And that is one of the defining characteristics of the progressive force that is the case for Scottish independence.
Alex Salmond, thank you very much.
Great pleasure.